Oh, hey there. Good morning, Monica. Are you going to work in those worn-out old rags that look like a 20-year-old present from your grandma again today, you broke loser? Hey, Roxanne. I'm pretty sure my clothes fall under office casual, and they're definitely not worn out. Anyway, what do the clothes I choose to wear to work have to do with you? It's not like I'm causing you any problems. Oh dear, what a shame. I see you still have precisely zero self-awareness. Your very existence is a problem when you go to work looking homeless every day, dear. How am I a problem? You walk around the neighborhood dressed like a broke loser, radiating the intolerable stench of poverty. Every time I walk past you, I have to pinch my nose. If I'm not careful, I could become poor like you just by being in your vicinity. It really is time you learn to have a little self-awareness, dear. If you don't get on top of your stench soon, the entire neighborhood will be wearing nose plugs. I have no idea what makes you think I'm a broke loser who radiates the smell of poverty. But me and my family really don't struggle with money as much as you seem to think we do. Are you joking? I've seen your house, dear. You're nothing but a broke part-time housewife who lives in a shabby, run-down ground floor apartment in the rough part of town. Excuse me? You obviously had no choice but to live there because the rent is dirt cheap and you couldn't afford anywhere more respectable. The place is so beat up, I wouldn't be surprised if the roof leaked every time it rained. You must have to walk around on your tiptoes to avoid the 200-year-old floor creaking. You seem to be making a bunch of huge misunderstandings here, Roxanne. I don't know why you think I work part-time, but I don't. As for the apartment, it was fully renovated 5 years ago. Nothing in there is 200 years old. Huh? It originally belonged to my husband's parents. He inherited it when his dad passed away 5 years back. His mom, who still lives with us now, suffered a fall and hurt her leg not too long afterwards, which ended up with her having to live in a wheelchair. So we had it reformed into a barrier-free, one-story bungalow to make her life there as easy and stress-free as possible. Around the same time, my husband also bought the house next door, which had been vacant for years, then had the connecting wall demolished to almost double the floor space. Even despite all that, buying the house, hiring the builders, paying for the materials, insuring the place, having wheelchair access facilities fitted, we still never struggled for cash. Wow. Basically, because you went on a foolishly irresponsible spending spree that was well beyond what you could afford, you're now a broke loser groveling around in the depths of soul-crushing poverty and despair. I guess everyone's definitions for poverty are probably different, but at least from where I'm standing, I don't feel like we're poor. That's only because you're too poor to have ever known what it's like to possess large amounts of money, my dear. I knew it. Without the sagely advice of someone highly respected, loved, and accomplished like myself, the wife of a CEO, you're not even capable of making even the bare minimum of decisions required to get by in life. You really are the most tragic human being I've ever met. You'll have to excuse me, but I have work soon, so I'm gonna have to head off. It's okay, dear, I understand. You'll get fired if you don't do as your boss tells you. I get it. It must really suck to be poor. But, Monica, really, I do at least think you should make the effort not to let your poor coworkers catch wind of the foul stench of your poverty. Everyone will be too grossed out to work, and productivity will be down across the board. Oh, that reminds me. Me and the other moms from kindergarten are throwing a New Year's party this Saturday. It'll be held at my apartment. You know, the top floor apartment of the luxury apartment building overlooking the river on 5th Street. But of course, no broke losers will be invited. I can't wait to look down on your pathetic papier-mâché cockroach den from the balcony of my luxury apartment while we sip our $10,000 champagne. We'll be so high up above you, your pitiful excuse of an apartment will look like nothing more than a piece of garbage. Oh, did I tell you our $10,000 champagne will contain specks of gold dust? I know you couldn't possibly imagine what it's like to indulge in such sophisticated extravagance, but hopefully these messages aren't making you too jealous. Well, of course, if you're absolutely desperate to come to my New Year's party and find out how the chosen few live, you need to get rid of that stench of poverty you radiate by moving up in the world until you make at least $100K a year. Only then will I consider sending you an invite. What on earth do you think you're playing at, Monica? Why would you come to my New Year's party? I made it very clear you weren't welcome. Why would you go out of the way to bug me over messages when we're at the same party? If you have a problem with me, come and say it to my face, Roxanne. That doesn't answer my question. What does a poverty-stricken loser like you think she's doing at a party of a CEO's wife? Anyway, what gives you the right to let yourself into my apartment like this? The roof of this building is a sacred place for the upper crust of society, life's winners like me. Poor people don't belong here, and you're not welcome. Think you had the nerve to bring your husband with you, too. I have no idea how you managed to get past security. But I'd rather you didn't stink out my luxury apartment with the rotten stench of your poverty. I'm going to have to spray some air freshener because of you. What a surprise that was! I genuinely have no idea how a broke loser like you ended up getting into my invite-only party, or what made you think you had the right to come in the first place for that matter. I made it very clear you were only to come if you made more than $100K a year. That didn't give you any right to pour a bottle of champagne over my head. You unlawfully entered my apartment and you paid the price. I didn't do anything wrong. I was merely defending my property. Besides, I poured that bottle of champagne over your head out of kindness. Kindness? I figured if I could drench you in champagne, it might help get rid of the stench of poverty that follows you around wherever you go. But thanks to your illegal entry into my apartment, my luxury top-of-the-range Persian rug is covered in champagne now. I'll have you know that rug cost $7,000. If you don't compensate me for the damage you've done, I'll be forced to take extreme measures. Obviously, this should go without saying, but a cleaning won't do it. You've ruined the fabric forever, so you need to buy me a brand new rug. I know $7,000 probably amounts to a year's wages for the likes of a broke depth groveler like yourself. And I wouldn't be surprised if you even had to move out of your cockroach-infested apartment and live on the streets to come up with the money, but you should have thought about that before you spoiled my rug. Listen to me, Roxanne. You don't seem to be aware of this, but it was your husband who invited me and my husband. Huh? Initially, we were only supposed to be paying him a visit in his office on the second floor to make a few inquiries. But when we arrived, he told us he had some urgent business to attend to and apologetically invited us to wait for an hour upstairs in your apartment. He appeared to know that me and you are kindergarten acquaintances, so I guess he figured it'd make sense to invite me to your New Year's party to kill some time while he dealt with whatever stuff he had going on. He came up with us in the elevator, let us in, and showed us to the living room before disappearing off somewhere in a hurry. Huh? But what reason could you and your husband possibly have for visiting my husband's company? Your husband said he'd be messaging you about that. Huh? Haven't you heard anything from him? I don't know, maybe in a message or an email? Well, hold on, let me check. Oh my God, what in the Lord's name is happening? Monica, you're the president of my husband's company's biggest client company? In the hell? How haven't I heard about this before? That's not all. What the hell are you doing living in a tiny ground floor apartment with a job like that? I thought you were broke. Excuse me? Let me get this straight. You thought I was poor because I live in a ground floor apartment? Who lives in ground floor apartments apart from broke losers? Everyone knows celebrities and successful people live on the top floor so they can look down on the peasants. Ah, I see. So that's why you went out of your way to get an apartment on the top floor, huh? Because in your mind, being that high up is the ultimate form of status symbol? What, are you saying it's not a status symbol? Of course, everyone's free to have their own ideas about the world. But I personally don't see any link between the altitude of someone's house and their value as a human being. And if I'm honest, I think that's a very shallow and superficial way of looking at the world. What the heck are you talking about? I did tell you this before, but my mother-in-law lives with me and my husband. She lives in a wheelchair, so it was a must that our place not have any stairs. That's why we bought the vacant house next door, had the second floors of both houses demolished, and had it converted into a big, spacious, barrier-free bungalow. Anyway, haven't you heard? Bungalows are in fashion these days. All the celebs and successful people are buying them. Oh my God, are they really? Hey, what's this crap I'm hearing about you terminating your contract with my husband's company? I take it your husband explained the situation to you then? My contract with your husband's company is terminated with immediate effect. Oh my God, I can't believe you're doing this just because I poured a bottle of champagne over your head as a joke. You have no right to drag my husband into this. This crosses the line. No way. Do you think that's the only reason I'm doing this? Huh? But my husband just called. He was furious. He said this was all happening because of my rude attitude at the New Year's party, and that I had to apologize to you immediately. Listen, Roxanne, I'm not going to pretend you pouring a bottle of champagne over my head in front of everyone at your New Year's party has nothing to do with the contract termination. You mean there's another reason? I don't know how your husband explained it to you, but the reason me and my husband visited your husband's office on the second floor was to notify him we were terminating the contract. It was already decided at that point. What? I don't know how much of this I should tell you, since as far as I'm aware, you don't have anything to do with the management of your husband's company. But to summarize, I got sick of his failure to meet deadlines, the constant issues with quality when shipments did arrive, and not to mention the horrendous attitude his employees gave me when I tried raising the issues with them. He and his company have been impossible to work with these last 6 months, and it reached the point where I simply couldn't overlook it anymore because it was interfering with our ability to provide quality to our customers. If I'd let it continue, I am almost certain it would have had knock-on effects for our reputation and revenues. After lengthy discussions with my husband, who's responsible for client meetings, and other executives within our company, I decided we had no choice but to terminate the contract. To be honest, I had already made up my mind, but there was a small chance I'd have been willing to negotiate with your husband if he showed sincerity in wanting to improve. Until you poured champagne over my head, that is. With that, I resolved to wash my hands of the both of you for good. Oh my God. Wait, hang on a second. No way. Oh, surely all this stuff with my husband is just business. Why throw away our friendship too? Now I know you're rich and successful, and that me and you are on the same level. We can grow closer than ever before. The same level as you? I get that you might be upset with my husband's company, but why throw away a friendship in the process? It seems like such a waste. Won't you rethink this, please, Monica? I can't say I was ever the type to link people's value as human beings to how much money they have, but I know that you take great pleasure in it. Which is why you should know that once your husband loses this contract, which accounts for over 80% of his sales, the future of his company probably isn't gonna look so bright. What? I advise you to consider the implications of that before talking to him. Monica! Could you please lend me some money? Say what now? I'm sure you've already heard, but my husband's company went bankrupt. Yeah, I may have heard a thing or two about that. Well, this means we're not going to be able to carry on living in this luxury high-rise apartment. You mean you're not going to be able to keep up with the rent? Yes. My husband's unemployed after his company went bankrupt, so he has to start from scratch and find a new job. Which is why I'd really appreciate if you could lend me just enough to cover the rent on this apartment. How about you just move somewhere more appropriate for your level of income instead of begging for money? Your husband's parents are looking after your son right now, right? So you either need to ask really nicely and hope one of your parents will let you move in with them until you get back on your feet. Or if that doesn't work out, find a new job with a company that provides employee accommodation. No, I can't do that. Me? Work a job? Oh my God. It's not right that a woman of my status should have to associate with the peasants and work a normal person job. My status demands that I live on the top floor. Sure, I might have lost my title as CEO's wife, but that's just all the more reason I can't afford to lose this high-rise apartment. Listen, Roxanne, the thing is... You're going to lend me some money? Have you taken a shower lately? Huh? Do you wash your clothes? What the hell kind of questions are these? A close friend of mine lives in the same apartment block as you. But she told me that every time she walks past the housewife from the top floor, she has to hold her nose because she smells so bad. She said she gets the impression you're trying to cover up the smell by drenching your entire body in perfume. She says the smell resembles something like a mixture of your natural body odor and something that can only be described as not belonging to this world. Oh my God, do I smell that bad? Yes, you really smell that bad. Apparently the smell is so awful that the company managing the apartments are currently in the process of writing up their claim against you because of the distress your stench is causing the rest of the residents. No, it's not me. They're mistaking me for someone else. That's funny, because when I asked her for your room number, she gave me yours. No, there has to be some kind of mistake. I really think you should do something about this, Roxanne, and sooner rather than later. No, I do not smell! I did wonder for a second whether the culprit behind the rotten stench might be Roxanne's husband, but it turned out that by that point, he'd already moved back in with his parents who lived 10 minutes away, which meant that the only one left behind in that foul-smelling room was Roxanne, all alone and with nothing left but her wounded pride. As for why the place smelled so bad, I found out later that the utilities got cut as a result of their failure to pay the rent, which in the middle of the summer in a place this hot is never going to end well. Even in spite of that, Roxanne, whose sense of self-esteem seemed entirely dependent on her living on the top floor of a luxury apartment block, defiantly stayed behind for a short while despite receiving several eviction notices. Eventually, though, she lost her nerve and moved out. I don't know whether it was because of the constant complaints from the neighbors, but they must have been elated when they found out she was gone. With that, she moved in with her husband and his parents. In desperate need of cash, she was forced to get a part-time job at a nearby supermarket, which is where she now spends her days doing the bare minimum of work to get by while riddled with chronic self-esteem issues due to her intolerably putrescent body odor. Thanks for watching, folks! We hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to prove what a boss you are by liking and subscribing. Also, feel free to leave a comment about what you thought of the story. We can't wait to see you again next time.